Welcome to Justice Rounds with Dr. Jimmell, where we will dispel myths, defend families, and demand justice. I'm ready if you are. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. I'm back for my next episode. And as you can see, I am wearing my holiday getup. Well, this is Justice Rounds with Dr. Jimmell, and I want to welcome you, if you're listening out there, to this podcast. I focus on dispelling myths, defending families, and demanding justice. Well, while I do have this holiday gear on, in a few minutes I'm going to take it off because the episode that we're going to talk about today is about grief and how to survive during the holiday season. Because not everybody wants to put on a Santa hat or wear a nice Christmas shirt or even put up a Christmas tree. And if that is you, or if you know someone who was hit hard with grief this year, this episode is for you. So I'm going to take off my Santa hat, and we are going to get started with this episode of Justice Rounds. So again, I am Dr. Jimmell, and I am board certified in pediatrics and obesity medicine. And we're tackling a topic that's especially important during the holiday season, and that is how to survive grief. This time of year, when celebrations and togetherness are everywhere, it can be especially tough for those who are grieving. Our goal today is to offer understanding, dispel harmful myths, defend grieving families, and highlight restorative justice as a path towards healing. So if you're listening and you're struggling, or you know someone who is, know that you're not alone, and this episode is for you. So let's start out with some grief statistics. According to a recent report that was just released last week by GITNUX, here are some statistics surrounding grief. Approximately 2.8 million people die in the U.S. annually, generating millions of new grievers each and every year. The hidden cost of grief to U.S. employers due to lost productivity is estimated at $75 billion. 58% of people feel pressured to follow an expected timeline for grieving. 71% of people indicated that their faith or spirituality was a major factor in their ability to cope with loss. Only 44% of Americans feel they know what to say to someone who is grieving. Surviving spouses have a 41% higher risk of dying within the first 6 months of their partner's death. Complicated grief affects approximately 7 to 10% of bereaved individuals. All right, if you know me and if you've known this podcast, we like to level set with some definitions. So what is complicated grief, and how is it different from normal grief? So complicated grief, aka prolonged grief disorder, or persistent complex bereavement disorder, as previously stated, affects 7 to 10% of bereaved individuals. This condition occurs when symptoms of grief last for at least 6 months to a year or longer after a loss, and are so intense that the symptoms interfere with daily functioning and the healing process. Key features of complicated grief include intense sorrow, pain, and rumination over the loss, difficulty accepting the death, persistent longing or pining for the deceased member, problems carrying out normal routines, social withdrawal and isolation, feelings of life having no meaning or purpose, symptoms that do not improve over time and may in fact worsen. Complicated grief is different from normal grief in its duration, intensity, and impact on daily life. Treatment of complicated grief often involves cognitive behavioral therapy and support for mental health professionals. If you or someone you know may possibly have complicated grief, please reach out for help. I will detail some resources later in this episode. Personal testimony, how grief has impacted me. I'd like to share a bit of my story. I have lost some very significant people in my life. My first memory surrounding death was on a Sunday when I was 5 years old. My family often went to Lane, South Carolina, where both sets of my grandparents lived. It was a fun time. On this particular Sunday, however, after my grandmother had served Sunday dinner, she had a massive heart attack and died that very day. I remember being at the funeral, and there were so many sad people, and they were crying. But as a 5-year-old, I had no real understanding of what was really going on. When I was 18, I lost both of my grandfathers. I lost my baby sister when I was 30 while I was doing my pediatric residency. This one hit me different. My sister and I were two peas in a pod, and we were very close. We talked every day, we laughed, we fought, we did everything. The emptiness and the void of her loss is still felt by me daily. But never fear, grief was not done with me yet. At the age of 48, I experienced probably the worst grief of my life when I lost my brother and mother 44 days apart. The depth of my sorrow was unimaginable. I remember asking God, your word says in Romans 8:28 that all things work together for good to those who love God. So my ask of God was, what good could come from these devastating losses? What good could come from them? The answer would be one that I didn't like at all, but it was to lead the grief group at my church. I did everything I could to ignore this charge, but it wouldn't leave me. So in September 2022, I, along with my friend Shakira, started leading an online grief support group for my church. The good that came was that I recognized that I was not alone, and there was support and love for me from God and this new community of people who were also grieving. Instead of leading the group, I was able to walk alongside others experiencing grief, and together we learned so much about resilience and hope. Through my faith, by helping others, and through dedicated therapy, I began to heal. Leading that grief group showed me the power of community, and my own losses taught me that it's okay to seek help and lean on others. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means finding a way to live and love again, even as you carry your memories forward. My healing journey, faith, helping others, and therapy. Faith was my anchor. In those darkest days, prayer and my spiritual practice, listening to my worship music gave me strength. Helping others facing their own losses became a source of purpose. And therapy, oh, how I needed therapy, provided me a safe space to process my emotions and build coping strategies. If you're grieving, I encourage you to explore all of these avenues. You deserve support, and healing is possible. Dispelling grief myths. Well, here we go. Let's start by addressing some common misconceptions about grief. The most common myth is that grief has a timeline, that you should be over it after a certain period. The truth is, grief is not linear. It ebbs and flows, and it looks different for everyone. Myth number 2 is that grieving people should stay strong and avoid showing emotion. In reality, allowing yourself to feel and express your pain is crucial to healing. Emotions such as sadness, anger, and even moments of joy can coexist, and all are valid. Myth number 3, grief only happens after death. Many believe grief is only associated with losing a loved one to death. In reality, grief can arise from any significant loss, such as divorce, loss of a job, health changes or challenges, or even moving from a cherished place. Myth number 4, moving on means forgetting. A common myth is that healing requires forgetting the person or thing you lost. In fact, healthy grieving allows you to remember and honor your loss while still moving forward with life. Myth number 5, if you're not crying, you're not grieving. Some assume visible emotion is the only sign of grief. However, people may grieve internally through quiet reflection or by challenging their energy into activities. Defending grieving families. During the holidays, grieving families often feel isolated, overlooked, or pressured to move on. I want to take a moment to lift up anyone who is grieving. Your courage is seen and respected. Whether you're facing the loss of a loved one recently or carrying a long-standing ache, you deserve compassion and support. I stand with you. Your community stands with you. Your loved ones stand with you. Let's rally around these families, offering practical help, a listening ear, and unconditional acceptance. As I mentioned previously, 44% of people admit to not knowing what to say when a person is grieving. Well, I'm here to let you know, here's a list of comments that you may want to avoid. Number 1, everything happens for a reason. This can feel minimizing as it tries to make sense of such a painful loss that may never make sense to the person that is grieving. It can imply that their suffering is part of a plan, which may not be comforting and can invalidate their pain. Number 2, they're in a better place. While this may align with your beliefs, it may not align with theirs. Even if it does, it often brings little comfort in the moment. Most grieving people simply want their loved one here with them. Number 3, I know how you feel. Grief is deeply personal and unique. Even if you've experienced loss, their grief is theirs alone. Comparisons can make people feel misunderstood or isolated. Number 4, at least they lived a long life, or at least you had time to prepare. These phrases can unintentionally minimize the pain of loss. Grief doesn't get smaller just because someone was older or because the loss was anticipated. Now, I would like to suggest a few comments that may be more supportive. I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm here for you if you want to just talk or just sit together quietly. I can't imagine what you're going through, but I care about you. It's okay to feel however you're feeling right now. You're not alone. Let me know how I can support you best. Other things to keep in mind: listen without trying to fix or minimize their pain. Remember important dates, anniversaries, birthdays, and check in. Respect their way and timeline of grieving. Remember, the bereaved are often inundated with call, texts, check-ins leading up to and right after the funeral. But then a silence sometimes happens when others go back to their normal lives and the check-ins are less frequent. Keep this in mind and check in periodically. Restorative justice, a path forward after loss. Restorative justice isn't just a legal concept. It's a philosophy that centers healing, accountability, and community repair. For grieving families, restorative justice means acknowledging the harm done, which is the loss, validating their pain, and actively working toward restoration. It's about forging ahead, not by forgetting, but by building new meaning and advocating for a world where loss and suffering are met with justice and compassion. We must demand that our systems and communities center the needs of those most deeply affected by loss. Resources for those suffering. Support groups. Local grief support groups and online communities can offer connection and understanding. Reach out to your local hospice and palliative care providers for more information. Therapy. Licensed therapists specializing in grief can help develop coping strategies and provide a safe space to heal. Faith-based options. Churches and spiritual organizations often provide counseling, prayer groups, and pastoral care. I recommend Grief Share, which is the group that I was doing with my church, and they're typically offered at churches. Please check out their website at griefshare.org. Community hotlines. National and local hotlines are available for immediate support. Don't hesitate to reach out if you need to. You can reach out to the National Mental Health Hotline at 866-903-3787. Conclusion. If you're grieving this holiday season, know that your pain is valid, your journey is unique, and you are surrounded by people who care. I stand with you, and I call on everyone listening to this podcast episode to offer compassion and advocate for restorative justice wherever there is loss. Please reach out for help, support one another, and remember, healing is a process, and you don't have to walk it alone. Thank you for joining me today on Justice Rounds with Dr. Jimmell. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and share it with someone who you think may benefit from it. I am actually on all audio platforms, so you can listen wherever you find your podcast. And as always, don't forget about those experiencing a different holiday than last year and who need some extra love and support this year. Happy holidays, everyone, and I wish you a prosperous 2026. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other.